What it do? Head Time Crew. Hey man, listen, today I am here to talk about the UFC fighters that people forget. You know, people forget, man. That's what this tier list is all about. This is the definitive people forget, man, tier list. We're going to be talking about some of the most slept on, underrated, often forgotten legends of the UFC, specifically the UFC. Otherwise, if we're talking about all of MMA, you know, I'm going to have to bring up that Torres dude from WEC. I'm going to have to bring up fucking everybody. It's way too many people. I'm going to forget people as well. No pun intended, but let's get into this, man. Starting off with, honestly, one of the reasons I made this fucking video, dude. Randy Couture. Dana White and the UFC, they've pulled off a Dricus du Plessis level gaslight to make people forget about Randy Couture. One of the greatest heavyweights of all time. The old man, Captain America. This guy was a fucking legend, dude. People fucking forget, man. This guy beat fucking Chuck and Tito, man. People forget, dude. I'm just going to do this whole video as Joe Rogan. But yeah, Randy Couture definitely gets forgotten about on purpose by the UFC. They do it to a lot of other fighters like Frank Shamrock. I'm going to mention him as well. He's a guy I've never watched fight except when Nick Diaz beat him up. So I'm not going to throw him on this video and act like I'm a hardcore. But yeah, Randy Couture, definitely a legend that I respect and that I think doesn't get talked about enough. Let's move on to a more contemporary, bold man that people forget about. Marlon Moraes, dude. People forget about Marlon Moraes in his prime, dude. Prime Marlon Moraes would fucking send you spinning with a head kick, dude. Dude, prime Marlon Moraes was... I was actually scared for Henry Cejudo when this motherfucker got lined up to fight him, dude. I remember the Marlon Moraes run, bro. Real ones remember 2018 Marlon Moraes, dude. Yeah, Marlon Moraes is a legend of the bantamweight division that people don't talk about anymore. I remember vividly being petrified for Henry Cejudo when this guy got matched up against him for the bantamweight title. And now he's a fucking police officer, you know? That's the world we're living in. Marlon Moraes is a cop. All we need now is Dana White to be president of the United States, bro. I know Biden just dropped out like he's fucking Hamzat Chimaev. Dude, imagine Dana White as the president and Marlon Moraes is American. What's the question? Are we going to intervene? Listen, dude, when Russia wants to play ball, we'll sort it out. The kid doesn't want to sort it out. Putin doesn't want to sort it out. You know, the kid's trying to argue with me. I'm not going to, you know, I can't make people, you know, solve their problems. You know, what? Yeah, the day I listen to you goofballs is the day World War III starts. I need Dana White as the president and to go alongside Marlon Moraes being the cop, dude. But yeah, shout out Marlon Moraes, bro. People forget about his skills, dude. Nasty KO artist. He KO'd Aljo, dude. KO'd the bantamweight goat Aljamain Sterling. Let me move on, though. Dude, Carlos Condit, bro. Dude, people fucking forget about Carlos Condit, man. Dude, Carlos Condit is a legend of the welterweight division. This guy had a generational fall off, but before that, he dropped GSP. You know, he beat Nick Diaz, even though Nick Diaz won that fight. Real ones know Nick Diaz beat Carlos Condit. But yeah, this guy arguably beat Robbie Lawler. He should have been a welterweight champion. And I feel like nobody talks about Carlos Condit. People do talk about, oh, Rory McDonald because of the Robbie fight, Robbie Lawler, you know, guys like that. But man, I don't really see people throwing Carlos Condit in the conversation, which is disappointing because he had also a badass fight against Robbie Lawler. Like, people always glaze the Rory versus Robbie fight because of the stare down. Carlos Condit had a crazy fight with him too. So yeah, shout out to Carlos Condit, man. He lost to Nick Diaz, but I like Carlos Condit. Respects, bro. Let me move on, though, to this guy is a very recent entry into the people forget pantheon. Francis Ngannou. I feel like people are already forgetting about this guy's legacy. What? This guy was about to be heavyweight go. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I'm a Stipe supremacist. That sounds really racist, but I've got Stipe as my heavyweight goat. But dude, I'm not going to lie, bro. Francis Ngannou is creeping up on that. He was creeping up on that, dude. He was creeping up on it like Diddy, bro. Pause. But dude, Francis Ngannou, people fucking forget, man. This guy knocked out Stipe, dude. This guy knocked out Cain Velasquez. This guy beat JDS, Overeem, Curtis Blades, right? This guy would have been a nightmare for Tom Aspinall. And I think he would have beat John Jones as well. I know that's a hot take, but I think he would have beat John Jones because he improved his grappling enough to defend takedowns from Stipe, take him down, out-grapple Cyril Gane, right? I know that's a bit of a meme, but still, he was also the first one to out-grapple Cyril Gane, not John Jones. Yeah, I'm very disappointed we didn't get Ngannou staying in the UFC, but we did get some legendary memes out of him, like when he was at the I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Don't lie, Stipe. I didn't say that. Don't lie. Don't lie, Stipe. I never said that. He was the original Dricus, bro. He was the original African king of the UFC. Now we got Dricus du Plessis, who gaslights and, oh, I never said that, mate. You know, he's stolen Ngannou's gimmick, but real ones remember Ngannou the gaslighter. Let me move on, though. This guy's a fucking Hall of Fame level fall off in terms of relevance and skill level. People genuinely do forget, man. Renan Barão, dude, people forget about prime Renan Barão, man. Renan Barão would fucking knock your head off. Dude, prime Renan Barão is actually a monster, dude. This guy fucked up Uriah Faber. This guy was on a crazy win streak. I swear to God, he was on like a 10-fight win streak, or he was undefeated for a very long time, similar to Jose Aldo. But the only difference is he had I don't even know who to compare this guy's fall off to. This is an insane generational fall off. Like, this guy, Tony Ferguson would be proud of this fucking downfall from this guy, because he was like a bantamweight champion defending the interim belt. He was the guy to fucking, you know, beat Dominic Cruz when he came back. He was always injured. They never really got to fight each other. But dude, Renan Barão, when he lost to TJ Dillashaw, just fell off a cliff. And yeah, this guy ended up being a bit of a jobber in the UFC modern era. So most people kind of consider him like that if they do remember him. But you got to remember, this guy was a dangerous pound for pound level fighter back in the day, man. Back in the day. This video is for the old heads, bro. Shout out to my old heads watching, bro, because this video is for you, dude. I remember Renan Barão when he was good. Okay, let me move on though to, honestly, I'm gonna say this guy is honestly one of my favorite fighters first and foremost, but I think he's one you can kind of throw out to pretend like you're a hardcore when you act like people forget about him. I'm gonna say Nick Diaz, bro. Nick Diaz belongs in the D tier. Okay, Nick Diaz is not as, first of all, not as big of a fall off as Barão. Not erased from history like fucking Randy Couture, you know, not as recent as guys like Ngannou, right? But I think he belongs in the D tier because he's still fighting, he's still somewhat relevant, and people do know about Nick Diaz. Like you most decently hardcore fans will know about Strikeforce Nick Diaz. They'll know that he fought Takanori Gomi because they put that shit in UFC 5. You know, the real test is when you talk about fucking UFC Nick Diaz before he went to Strikeforce. That's how you know if a guy's a real hardcore. But yeah, people do forget about prime Nick Diaz. You know, there's a lot of uneducated people out there that don't remember the goated fucking run that this guy went on before he beat Carlos Condit and got robbed, right? Before he beat GSP and got robbed. I'm just kidding, he didn't beat GSP. But yeah, Nick Diaz, people forget, man. People fucking forget, dude. This guy's one of the greatest welterweights of all time. I'm so mad he didn't get to be the UFC champion. I think he could have been, all right? Let me move on, though. This is a guy, borderline A tier. I'm going to put him in the B tier, but dude, nobody fucking talks about Jacaré. I feel like I'm crazy. Like, Yoel Romero is kind of falling out of relevance, but I'm going to keep him off this list, you know, because that hurts too much to think about. But dude, why does nobody talk about Jacaré Souza? Hello? This guy was a fucking monster, bro. This guy was an absolute monster. Look at the fucking guy. I remember when he just walked across the cage like the Terminator and knocked out Derek Brunson. I mean, if you can beat the GOAT Brunson, you're a serious problem in my book. And people forget about the problem that was Jacaré Souza at middleweight. Now, yes, he did lose to Andre Muniz and create one of the most fraudulent ranked contenders of all time. Like, Andre Muniz's entire legacy is beating up washed Jacaré, and people thought this guy was going to be champion because of that, which is crazy. Like, I remember Dan Hardy kind of chuckling like a fucking Reddit mod, being like, I can't wait to see Andre Muniz versus Israel Adesanya. I'm just thinking about the grappling exchanges now. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. He beat Jacaré, bro. But outside of that, Prime Jacaré was a monster. He is terrifying. I remember being scared for Robert Whittaker to fight this fucking guy. All right? This guy's a scary motherfucker, dude. People forget, man. I'm going to put Jacaré in the B tier. He really does get forgotten about. Let me move on, though. This guy disappeared off the face of the fucking planet. Forget being a fight fan forgetting about this guy. People, real human beings, have probably forgotten this guy existed. Zabit, bro. Zabit's A tier, bro. People forget. Sorry, I just smacked my hands and made a big noise on OBS. People forget that this guy was the guy at featherweight. I can't even talk. This guy was the guy at featherweight. When he beat Calvin Kattar, I said, bro, it's over. It's over. It's over. All right. He's gonna be the first ever man to get a 3-round title fight, because if you could get a 3-round title fight, Zabit Magomedsharipov would be undefeated. He would 110% have beat Volk. He would have beat Aldo at featherweight on his way out. He would have beat Max Holloway for 2 rounds and then lost in round 4 and 5. I think Zabit Magomedsharipov is one of the biggest what ifs, one of the biggest, like, we don't really know because it's easy for people to say now, like, oh, here, dude, he would have lost to Volk and Max. I don't know, man. I don't know because I think he would have got given a 3-round fight against Volk. I think he would have got given a 3-round fight against Aldo. And I think he would have beat both of those guys. And if he got booked against Brian Ortega for 3 rounds as well, I think he would have beat him too. I don't think there is a single fighter at featherweight that Zabit Magomedsharipov was like around at the same time as. If they got booked on a pay-per-view against him in a 3-round fight, I think he would have beat all of them. Like, I remember he was supposed to fight Yair. Real ones remember this guy was supposed to fight Yair Rodriguez on the Khabib versus Gaethje card, dude. Oh my fucking god, bro. I just remember that we didn't get that fight. We were supposed to get it! Fuck, man. People forget, man. I'm putting him in the A tier, dude. Let me move on, though, to an underrated bantamweight contender. Dude, Rafael Assunção goes under the radar hardcore. Where's my Assunção army at, bro? Because I remember when Rafael Assunção was a serious problem at bantamweight. Dude, now obviously he lost to Cody Garbrandt. Exactly. You know, he lost to Marlon Moraes. No shame in that. But there was a time period where this guy was a top contender at bantamweight. Like, Marlon Moraes got his title shot off beating Assunção, right? Assunção has a great, you know, resume. He's fought multiple weight classes. I remember he fought fucking Jorge Masvidal. Yeah, Rafael Assunção is a prime candidate for a classic Joe Rogan. People forget about prime Rafael Assunção, man. This guy's a marauder. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna put Assunção in the B tier. He's not as goated as, you know, prime Barão was. Obviously Zabit, I believe, was pretty goated. Randy Couture, heavyweight fucking champion. Right, I'm not gonna put him up in that category. He was just a decent contender, but you know, he deserves a little bit more respect. So I'm gonna put him in the B tier. Let me move on though. This one actually makes me fucking mad, dude. Because before I was a Usman fan, before I was a Colby fan, I was a Woodley fan, man. I was a Woodley fan in 2017, bro. In 2018, man. I don't want to hear, you know, people talk about like, oh, we gotta pay respect to the veterans, we gotta pay respect to these and that. Nah, bro. Pay respect to the Woodley fans that lived through his fucking downfall, dude. That's harder than any job, bro. That's harder than any fucking battle out there in life, man. Dude, when I watched this guy fight in the Apex for 3 years straight and just get fucking bounced around by Gilbert Burns and but Colby Covington, fucking Vicente Luque. Oh my god, Jake Paul. Like, what the fuck, man? But before that, Tyron Woodley was one of the greatest welterweights of all time. He was bordering on passing GSP. I will not let people forget that if he had beat Kamaru Usman, he would have officially passed GSP as the welterweight GOAT to many, many people. I remember media day for that fight, UFC 235 it was. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was in my 20s. People were saying, dude, if Woodley wins this fight, he's the GOAT. I remember Dana White was saying that shit, man. But yeah, people fucking forget about Prime Woodley. He shut down Damian Maia. He knocked out Robbie Lawler. Defended against Wonderboy. Man, defended against Darren Till. Smoked Darren Till. 9 out of 10 times I would have won that fucking fight, mate. This one time I fucking didn't, lad. Regardless, I'm not going to forget about Tyron Woodley in his prime, dude. I'm not going to remember this guy as a Jake Paul victim. And Tyron Woodley, if you're listening, please don't retire, bro. You can't go out on a loss to Jake Paul, bro. You can't fucking do it, man. You can't do it, bro. Please fight again. Please lose to somebody else before you retire. But yeah, shout out prime Tyron Woodley, dude. Let me move on, though. This guy's the originator of this fucking meme. I'm not going to lie. This guy may be the reason we have this video. Okay? Benson Henderson. I'm not joking. I'm pretty sure he's the reason Joe Rogan said the iconic... People forget, man. People forget about Benson Henderson, man. He started the calf kicks. He was one of the best lightweights of all time. That is where this fucking meme comes from. He is a very forgotten, like, great champion. He had some good title defenses. He was a great fighter. Fought with a toothpick in his mouth. That's pretty badass. But I'm not going to put him in the A tier simply because so many people tell you that you forgot about Benson Henderson that you can never forget about him. You know what I'm saying? It's like some Inception type shit. And that might be one of the smartest things I've ever said on this channel. But if you know what I'm saying, you realize that I'm spitting facts. Benson Henderson cannot be one of the most forgotten fighters of all time because everyone tells you how much people forget about it. That defeats the whole fucking purpose. So Benson Henderson was a great lightweight. Obviously a very underrated champion. You don't really hear him get talked about the same way people glaze fucking RDA, and even Frankie Edgar gets a lot of respect. Benson Henderson doesn't really get brought up as much, but he does have a whole meme about him. So I'm going to put him in the B tier. Let me move on though, man. Light heavyweight division. think you know who it is, dude. I'm going to say, hot take, Gustafsson is kind of overrated in terms of his legacy. I know that people thought he beat DC. That's fair. I thought DC won that fight because I'm biased and I love DC. But, you know, same with the Jones fight. I thought Jones won that fight pretty clearly. It was just the toughest fight we saw for John Jones, and nobody was really expecting anything from Gustafsson. Right? Because Jones beat all these legends from Pride, all these UFC champions, and then they were like, oh, we'll just throw this tall guy in there against him, and nobody was picking Gustafsson. But people forget, man, this guy went toe-to-toe with John Jones. That's what Gustafsson's legacy is. He is a quintessential fake hardcore. People forget, man. Everybody remembers Prime Gus, so I'm gonna put him in the D tier. He is kind of fading away, but he's not. Let's not act like this guy's on the same tier as fucking Rafael Assunção, where people just refuse to mention this goated fighter that was borderline about to be the GOAT of the division. Like, come on, dude. He had a close fight with Jones. Dominic Reyes is gonna be Gustafsson in a couple of years. Let's be fucking real here, dude. So, shout out to Gus, but I do think he gets a little bit overglazed in terms of, oh my god, nobody talks about Prime Gus. It's like, yes, they do. Yeah, I'm going to put him in the D tier. Let me move on, though. This guy I dead set fucking forget exists, and then sometimes he'll just pop up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I fucking love this guy. Dude, Anthony Pettis. People genuinely fucking forget, man. Anthony Pettis disappears off the face of the earth for a couple of years. I just live my life forgetting he was on the Wheaties box, forgetting the fight with Gilbert Melendez, forgetting the fight with RDA, you know, that he lost, and forgetting all of his great wins, like when he went up to welterweight, beat Wonderboy, all these great, when he beat Michael Chiesa. I loved that. I loved seeing this guy beat Michael Chiesa. But dude, people do forget about Anthony Pettis. He was a great lightweight champion. He was going to be the next big thing at fucking lightweight, dude. I really think he was on the verge of superstardom before RDA, the classic crafty veteran, the guy that people act like, oh my god, nobody talks about RDA. It's like, yes, they do, bro. Anthony Pettis genuinely gets forgotten about. So I want to give Anthony Pettis his flowers. I'm going to throw him in the C tier. Let's move on, though. Dude, this one hits close to home, bro. Mike fucking Goldberg. Let me just move Gus, best editor on YouTube. Dude, Mike Goldberg! I miss him! I fucking forget about this guy sometimes, man. And then I remember and I go, dude, now we're just dealing... And both of these fighters are dealing with custody battles. This fight is brought to you by Kung Fu Panda 4, The Battle Within. Just like Bilal Muhammad's going to be battling for custody after this fight tonight. And then fucking Michael, oh my word, buddy, listen, buddy. You know, when I got knocked out for the belt, buddy, oh my word. You know, like the commentary we have now compared to prime fucking Goldberg, you know, virtually identical. Like, oh man. So many great memories with Mike Goldberg, you know. The way he starts a fight. I remember I loved his random facts. You know, he wasn't perfect. He'd jump on commentary. Yoel Romero's favorite color is purple. You know, like there's a couple of things he would do wrong, but man, the energy of Goldberg, the way he called a finish, the way he called the opening of a fight. I miss Mike Goldberg. People forget about one of the greatest commentators in fucking sports history, Mike Goldberg. I miss him. I will not forget about him, man. Let me move on. I've got a couple more left. Some modern fighters and some old heads, you know, for my old heads in the chat. Thiago Santos, dude. Dude, prime Thiago Santos. I'm just saying, where were you when he fought Jimmy Manuwa? Because I fucking remember that vividly. Where were you when this guy fought Kevin Holland, man? Because Jimmy Manuwa back in the day, when he knocked out Jan Blachowicz, I was saying, man, I was sitting on the porch and I was saying, guys, Thiago Santos is a problem, dude. This guy's a marauder. This guy's got heavy hands. He's got hands of stone. And people seem to forget about the prime of Thiago Santos, and I'm not going to let that slide, because back in the day, man, Thiago Santos, he'd spin your block. He'd spin your chin, buddy. You know, he gets hands on you, you're going to sleep. So, yeah, shout out to prime Thiago Santos. All jokes aside, people do forget about his prime. He was actually pretty exciting. He was never like a great fighter, but fuck. He was an exciting part of the light heavyweight division. Like, when Thiago Santos got booked in a fight, you knew it was going to be a finish. You knew it was going to be a crazy fucking fight. Even if it somehow wasn't a finish, you knew it was going to be some crazy. So yeah, shout out to Thiago Santos. I miss you, brother. Let me move on. This is one of those, dude, this next guy, this is one of those guys that he does get his flowers, but he also doesn't. Oh man, I'm just going to put him on screen and then you'll understand what I'm saying. BJ Penn's going in the D tier, okay? Because you're either an MMA fan that actually watches the sport, and you know, listen, dude, Prime BJ was goated. He's one of the greatest lightweights of all time. You know, beat Matt Hughes for the welterweight belt as well. This guy achieved so many incredible things in the sport. One of the fastest black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu history as well. That's something that I've always admired about BJ Penn. Or you're a young man that watches cartoons on a Saturday morning, and you just go, oh, this BJ Penn dude fucking sucks. He lost to, you know, Ryan Hall. You know, like there's only two ways you know BJ Penn. You're either the old head going, dude, people forget about BJ Penn, man, or you're a fucking pipsqueak and you're a little kid and you think BJ Penn sucks. You know, like, I'm not gonna act like, oh, everybody's sleeping on BJ Penn. Most MMA fans know that BJ Penn was goated if they know anything about the sport. Joe Rogan will go out of his way to bring up prime BJ Penn. You know, he's got alter egos in UFC 5 and shit. So I don't think people are really sleeping on BJ Penn's legacy too much. But he is a little bit forgotten about in the grand scheme of MMA, you know, history, because he was one of the greatest fighters of all time. Like, we can't deny that at his peak, this guy's one of the greatest fighters in UFC history. So yeah, shout out BJ Penn, but I don't think he's as forgotten as some of these guys in the A tier. Let me move on though. I'm gonna put Rumble in the C tier, man. Rest in peace to Rumble Johnson, bro. This shit is tough, man, but I think he's a little bit more forgotten about than Gustafsson, because he never got to fight Jones, and I think he would have been a tough fight for Jones. I think he would have probably won the first round and then got submitted in round 3 or round 4 or some shit, but you know, he had a close fight with DC for the belt the first time. Not as close the second time. He did beat Gustafsson. Like, he finished Gustafsson, which is pretty fucking impressive. He finished Gustafsson before DC and Jones could. So, I think people, like, remember Rumble, but I don't know if they necessarily remember how good he actually was. I think they just remember, they just know that he passed away, and they're going to show respect to a fighter that everyone liked that passed away. But in terms of his actual accomplishments in MMA, you know, people do forget, man. This guy beat Gustafsson, dude. This guy was a problem back in the day. So yeah, shout out Rumble. Little bit over, like, no, I'm not gonna say overrated, but you know, it's the Kobe Bryant effect. You know what I'm saying? Like, people act like they were this huge fan of Rumble, but you know, where were you guys before he fucking died? You know what I'm saying, dude? So yeah, shout out to Rumble. I always wanted to see Rumble versus Jones. I thought he would have done well against Jones, but yeah. Let me move on. Last one I'm gonna talk about, dude. Matt Hughes. I feel like nobody fucking brings up Matt Hughes in their top 20, including me. I always forget this guy fucking exists. This is like one of GSP's best wins. Like, I have GSP as my GOAT. I know a lot of people have GSP as their GOAT or in their top 3 GOATs definitively. Big part of the reason is Matt Hughes. Like, he was the welterweight champion before GSP. He beat GSP. He had a crazy, I swear his record ended up being like 45-7, right? Had all these legendary fights on his resume, and obviously the GSP win puts him over the line. But yeah, Matt Hughes is a guy that, you know, when you think about the legacy of other welterweight, like, he's right there with Usman and GSP in terms of welterweight legacy, in my opinion, like, based on his title defenses and the wins that he has. But I'm gonna be real here, guys. You got fucking baited. I don't have an S tier. I want to know in the comments down below, who is your most favorite fighter that people forget about, man? Give me a little bit of glazing in the comment. Like, glaze your favorite fighter that people forget, man, in the comments. If you guys enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, all right? And I will hire Mike Goldberg for Bedtime FC. And I will see you guys later this week with my UFC 304 predictions. I'm also going to be dropping a video on why LeBron James is the greatest UFC fighter that never was. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a great video. And yeah, man, I'll see you guys in the next video, bro. Goodbye.